I saw come up out of the ocean from beneath the surface of the sea a huge disc-shaped craft about the size of a Midway-class aircraft carrier. Sick or not, I was going to go in the Navy because that's really what I had wanted to do. So I did. Volunteered for submarine duty and was assigned to the USS Tyru SS-416, which was a diesel-electric boat, World War II type, that had been reconfigured. When I went on board the boat, it was in the dry dock at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard and had literally been cut in half. They put in a 12-foot sonar section and then 3 domes on the deck for triangulating targets using sonar. And this was really one of the most up-to-date electronically submarines that we had. Wasn't a nuclear submarine, but as far as the ability to approach, get close to a target and destroy it, it had a better capacity to do that than any other boat that we had. While we were on a transit from the Portland-Seattle area on the surface, I was the port lookout, and I saw the most incredible thing that I
Here we
think
go.
I've ever seen in my life. And it had such a profound effect upon my view of the universe and the world that we live in,
Ontological shock.
that I wish everybody could experience this. I saw come up out of the ocean, from beneath the surface of the sea, a huge disc-shaped craft about the size of a Midway-class aircraft carrier, which is tremendous in size. Even though that's one of our smallest carriers, or was then, it's still a huge, tremendously big object. Came up out of the ocean and rose into the air and tumbled on its axis and went up into the clouds, and I was awestruck, dumbstruck. And I mean dumbstruck, literally. I could not utter a sound. And my first impulse was to tell the officer of the deck that I'd seen a flying saucer. And then, luckily for me, I couldn't talk because, on second thought, that's not what I really wanted to say. Because I didn't want to be the only Looney Tunes character on a submarine with a tight-knit crew that you had to live in close quarters with, because that's a hell of a way to live. So I told the officer of the deck that I'd seen something about 15 degrees off the port bow at a relative distance of about 2.5 nautical miles. And
Yo, if you're enjoying this clip, make sure you subscribe below and head on over to the main channel if you want to watch the full replay of this video. You might even be able to catch one of the streams live one time and get involved in the chat as well. All the links you need will be down below.
he began to look in that area. And the starboard lookout had heard me tell him this, and he began to look over there. And while we were all three watching, either the same craft or another one exactly like it came down out of the clouds, tumbled again on its, why it did this maneuver, I don't know, but every single time it did it. It's like it came down in this attitude, and then it flipped over and then entered the water. And the water just appeared to open up in front of it. It's just like the account in the Bible about the parting of the Red Sea. That's exactly what happened. The sea actually parted, and this thing went into the water and it closed up behind it. And this big spray went up into the air. But it wasn't a spray from the craft hitting the water. It was a spray from the water coming back in to fill up this hole that had been created.
Wild story, right? So this is a disc shape the size of a aircraft carrier. He's seen it come out of the ocean, and the rotating on its axis is something that we hear a lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's part of the Bob Lazar testimony that Bob Lazar doesn't necessarily say that they tumble on their axis, but that they turn up on their side to shoot off. That's also a detail in the Westall in Australia, in Melbourne, 1966 or whatever. That's what they said happened too, that the crafts came up, turned on its side, and just shot off. Not exactly tumbling, but like similar details in that these things like rotate to move. Shunt for $5 says, first time making the live, Josh. You, Jesse, and Y-Files are elite. Man, every time I get mentioned in the same sentence as those guys, I feel like an imposter. But thank you. It's very kind of you to suggest that. I appreciate you very much. And the whole parting of the sea on the way down, right? And sorry, if I didn't mention this story, or if he mentioned it, I don't know, is in the 60s. He saw this in the 60s. Now, as you all know, as the diligent students that you are, the SR-71 was being built in the 1950s. Now, I'm a big advocate for the fact that a lot of the things that we see in our skies are advanced skunkworks technology. I really do think that. But I think when you say that, a lot of people automatically think that that means like you don't believe in UFOs, like you think it's just government tech. No, 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 no. Definitely believe in UFOs, but I think like modern sightings, a lot of it is probably us. But I mean, when you're seeing this stuff in the 60s, I think this is a wild case. This is not anything of ours. What it could be though, I have no idea. I tend to lean towards advanced human race. I lean towards an advanced race. Potentially the people who built the pyramids, potentially the people who built the resonantly tuned chambers underneath Derinkuyu in Turkey. You know, the chambers that look like people went under to survive a cataclysm. So what happened to them when the cataclysm finished and they survived? Yeah, I don't know. No one's really asking or answering that question. Maybe they realized the surface is just too cooked and it's better to just live underground or live under the ocean because you've got wild technology that can build pyramids and build these crazy underground shafts. So you can also probably build bases under the ocean. I don't know, just a guess. Actually, is just a guess, but it makes sense, right?
Again, you know, I think this is incredible. What are we looking at here? And it was metal. It was a machine, and it wasn't glowing or anything like that. It didn't have any lights on it that we could see. But it was obviously metal, and it was obviously a machine. And although I can't tell you that there was anyone inside of it, I believe that there was. And it did something that, as far as I knew, was absolutely impossible. I'd been in the Air Force. I'd worked on the state of the art of our aviation capabilities, and here I was on the deck of a submarine in the conning tower, and I knew what we had to be able to have to go underwater, and I knew that the two were incompatible. Here's something that came from under the water and flew in the air and performed maneuvers, and then came back down and interfaced with the water at tremendous speed and remained intact, which realistically, it never touched the water. The water sort of magically opened up in front of it, but something had to interface with that water. Anything that we had that interfaced with the water in that manner would have been disintegrated. It's like hitting a brick wall. So I was looking at a technology that, as far as our laws of physics and what we knew at that time, didn't exist. This was in 1966.
There you go. 66. With technology that is literally parting the ocean. Parting the ocean. What is he, Moses? What is it, Moses in a UFO? Attempted Human, $5, says, first time on a live and first time I've ever become a member of any YouTube channel before. Was going to join Area 52, but this is better. Ah, thank you. I would politely disagree, but thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate that. To take your YouTube membership virginity is an honor. And Stevie with $15 says, I already like this one, Stevie. He says, if Operation High Jump after World War II really involved UFOs chasing away a whole fleet, a giant UFO in 1966 doesn't sound unrealistic at all. The Nazi connection to all of this is critical in my opinion. Oh, Stevie, you are dirty talking me, my man. You are dirty talking me when you say stuff like that. Yep. You're on it. You are all over it. You are all over it, my friend. And I'm a fan.
And Ensign Ball was as shocked as I was. He called the captain to the bridge. He came up with the chief quartermaster, who brought a camera. And we all stood there and watched this occur over and over again for about 10 minutes. And I still, to this day, don't know if it was the same craft or a whole bunch of different craft going in and out of the water. But it seemed like that there was a hell of a lot of traffic on that freeway right there. And we were watching it as we went by. We never changed course. We never lowered or increased our speed. We made no attempt to communicate or signal. We made no attempt to get closer. And eventually, it just stopped. We were told not to discuss it with anyone, not even amongst ourselves, which was incredible. I never had been told anything like that in my life. You know, you can't talk about something. And to be told that we couldn't even talk about it amongst ourselves was even more extraordinary, I thought. But we didn't. We didn't talk about it.
We hear this so often, right? Remember when we looked at Connor O'Ryan? Yeah, Connor O'Ryan or Derek Hennessy, you know, whatever name you want to give him, from the S4 files. And he said, you couldn't even talk to anyone when he worked at S4. Like, you couldn't talk to anyone. And no one had names. They just had numbers. Like, this is crazy. Tell us, like, you're up to something without telling us you're up to something. What, we can't talk to each other about this? Like, okay, bro, you're obviously hiding something then. It feels like when we look at this stuff retrospectively, like it's over 30 years later, it seems like so obvious now. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I feel like back then when you hear like, oh, we were told we shouldn't talk about it, it's kind of like, oh, maybe it's just secret military rules. But like now it's like, bro, obviously like you're being gaslit here and that you're being lied to. Obviously.
When we got to Pearl Harbor, all the time the chief quartermaster was taking pictures of this. So I know photographs were made. What happened to those photographs, I have no idea. But when we reached Pearl Harbor, we were not allowed to go ashore to go on liberty, even though we didn't have the duty. And about 2 hours after we berthed at the submarine base, a commander from the Office of Naval Intelligence came on board and debriefed each one of us individually in the captain's stateroom. And the ultimate outcome of the debriefing was that we didn't see anything, we didn't hear anything, and we had to read rules and regulations that told us that if we ever talked about what it was that we didn't see, that we could be imprisoned, we could be fined $10,000, we could lose all pay and allowances due or ever to become due. And I learned at that moment that the United States Navy didn't want anybody to know about what we saw.
Which is like, why wouldn't you? You may have saw something that is like completely changes the world you live in. What does that mean? You're just not interested? You don't want to know? Or you already know and you're trying to contain the information? I think the answer there is quite obvious. Don't forget the SR-71 was built in the 1950s. Very good, Simon Hogg. You are a absolute scholar of the channel, clearly. And Sambo says, Josh, do you enjoy an adult beverage? Yeah, I drink cordial, maybe a lemonade on a Friday. I wonder when they made NDA standard procedure. Probably 1947, actually.
There's a real cover-up. These things do exist, number one. And at least the United States Navy doesn't want anybody to know about it.